Identity politics is over. Wokeness is broken. And you're seeing the last dying gasps here. Here's our Salt That Lib of the day. Really, really great clip. Two libs having it out. You'll love to see it.
Don't blame the voters. I think, look, we could get into this discussion, but one, I think you're blaming the voters. I think that's a terrible idea. And look, I debated Professor Lichtman before. I told him his theories about the keys were absurd. I was right. He was wrong. I said he'd lose his keys.
No, you were
Couldn't
not
find
right,
him
and
before
I
the
was
election.
not wrong. And that's a cheap shot, and I won't stand for it.
Well, who won, brother?
You should not be
Who
taking
won?
cheap
Who
shots
won?
at me.
Who
You
won?
want to make your
You
point,
live
make your
in a
point.
total
Don't make it
world of
personal.
denial.
I read your own followers' comments, and they all trashed you, every one of them, and supported me.
Yeah,
so
right,
with
right.
your personal
yeah,
attacks.
come find out again.
Make whatever point you want.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't
Look,
make it personal.
You don't know anything. You don't know anything.
You attacked me personally.
You're so deluded.
Oh, right. I've only been a professor for 51 years.
On this program, I've never been able to finish a thought.
How many books have you published? No, because you're personally attacking me again. Say whatever you want, but I'm not going to stand for
brother,
personal
you got it wrong.
Say
you were
whatever you want.
preposterously and stupidly wrong. So, okay, all right. Can I just finish a goddamn thought ever on this show?
No, not if you're personally. I admitted I was wrong. I don't need you to call me stupid.
Okay.
Can I just say, it's great to see you Democrats all getting along so well.
Who taught you manners?
It's lovely to see a post-election harmony as you all come together again.
Hey, Alan, right now. Hey, Alan, you deserve a tall glass of shut-up juice, so can you just shut up for a second? And let someone who knows what they're doing.
You're so right, Pierre. Okay? You're so right. We're so unified right now.
You want, so I will not sit here and stand for personal attacks, for blasphemy against me. You don't need to do that. You don't boost
blasphemy against you? Who the hell are you? Are you Jesus Christ, you loser? Okay, can I just give the correct answer for once?
Harry, did you see Harry Sisson there going? Look at these guys. Look at that. This is the face. This is the faces of leftism. You wonder why they lost young men. Is there a single drop of testosterone in any of that? David Hogg posted yesterday, I'm doing a panel today on why we lost young men. Can somebody please tell me why we lose the young men? Maybe because if somebody introduced an ounce of testosterone into your bloodstream, you'd go into cardiac shock. Maybe because this isn't what men look like or act like. The feline, feminine energy, the bitchiness, the hissing. This is why you lose. Donald Trump at the ringside with the champion's belt. Get me the Trump photo. I want Trump photo, champion belt, Trump rocket, Elon Musk. This is how you win. You win with uplifting with uplifting and letting men dream again. Break out of the trance. Break out of the spell. Allow men to do great things again. This is like just an iconic photo. Look at that. Look at Trump. Look at the way he's looking at that belt. Every man, let me let you in on a little secret here. Panel of libs, David Hogg, Harry Sisson. This is what men dream of. Holding up the golden champion belt. The man in the arena. This is why the Roman Colosseum still stands to this very day, thousands of years after being built. These are the moments, ladies and gentlemen, that assert masculinity, that show cultural and physical dominance. Here's Donald Trump with the champ, John Jones. And this is what attracts, this is the vibe that men demand in life. We want to be champions. We want to achieve. We want to protect. We want to be strong. We want to provide. This is the iconography that will have men voting Republican for the next 100 years. here's the difference. This photo, there you go. This is what Republicans are offering, and this is what Democrats are offering. There you go. There's your two options, men. Which world do you want to live in? Manifest destiny? Achievement? Reaching for the stars? The force thrust of 197 Boeing 747s is what you're seeing right there? Or this? Tee-hee-heeing in your testosterone vacuum of a life. Squeeing over the newest TikTok video. Dance. No, man. I think since I've been a man for 37 years, I think I know. I think I know where men want to be and what men want to do. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now, a real live actual man, somebody who's served his country, somebody who's fought for his country, somebody who I think understands this moment as good as anyone, and also understands the perilousness of it, with World War III potentially careening out of control. It's a wobbly world that we're in right now, as we have a wobbly president making some very bad decisions. Joining us live now, Congressman Corey Mills, to talk some sense into this moment. A real live man is Corey Mills, and here he is on screen. Corey, am I right about rockets and heavyweight champs versus soy lattes? And I guess Lizzo, what else did they offer? Lizzo? They offered Lizzo and Oprah. That's what Democrats offered to men this election cycle.
Well, I mean, first off, conservatives can actually define what a man and what a woman is. So let's just go ahead and start with that. We know which bathrooms to walk into. We know how to change a tire. We know how to protect and provide for our families, basic male, kind of conservative values, the things that we were born and raised upon. I think what you're saying, though, is actually a really good point. The reason men are actually moving over is because they're seeing this is what I would rather emulate. A guy who possesses strength, a guy who's confident and bold, a guy who's literally going to the UFC fights and watching, history be made with, the Falcon 9 and Starship and all these other things kind of change interplanetary capabilities. Instead of, I'm going to be an overweight or old guy who is sitting on Delaware Beach, opining about my next ice cream sandwich, and then looking at Harry Sisson and Chink and all these others who are the most beta male individuals that you can possibly find. I mean, that's not what they're after. That's not what men want to aspire to be. It's why we love, watching football. It's why we love male, kind of bonding and camaraderie. So, we can sit around for campfires and be like, hey, here, let's grab a bourbon. Not, hey, let's go grab that soy latte and talk about how great, men can be women and women can be men. I mean, it's just what we're getting back to under President Trump is what America's values originally were. And I think that's what males are kind of pining for at this point.
Do you think there's going to be a sharp spike in military recruitment and young men signing up to serve their country, and to see things like this and go, wow, damn it, this is, I want to sign up for Space Force. I actually want to be part of this golden moment. And I'd want to have someone like Pete Hegseth, who understands the fighting man, defending me at DOD. I know this is something near and dear to your heart, Congressman.
Well, absolutely. I mean, look, we've got a 42,000 personnel recruitment deficit. You've got almost 8,600 people who were unconstitutionally purged for the denials of their religious and medical freedoms from refusing the vaccination. In my opinion, I'm going to continue to fight for them to be reinstated with full back pay, full benefits, and be allowed to serve their nation, not serve a political agenda. But now you've got someone like Pete Hegseth, who's a good friend of mine, who is a multi-deployment combat veteran who's led men in war, who is very well educated with a degree from both Princeton and Harvard. He's going to come in, and we're going to get back to what it was to prioritize not diversity, equity, and inclusion, but increased lethality, readiness, and being properly equipped. This is what men and women in our armed forces want as the strongest, greatest volunteer force in the world. Is they want the opportunity to know that when they're actually going to be going into battle, that they're going to be the best prepared and they're going to have increased lethality, not the person who identifies and can tell you what my pronouns are. You know, we can out-pronoun every one of our enemies. I have no doubt that we can she, her, they, them, he, him better than anyone else. And I'm sure China and Russia and North Korea and Iran are terrified by this capability of not misgendering us. But the reality is that men and women who serve in our military just want the opportunity to serve. They want to know they're going to be taken care of. We got to increase the better quality of life for them. We need to increase their pay. We need to make sure that child care is provided on basis, not 2 days a week, but 5 days a week, so that spouses who serve as well have the ability to pursue careers and further education and start looking at transition to get back into society. And so we have to do more. And that's what this administration is going to do. That's what Pete Hegseth is going to do as Secretary of Defense. And I can tell you, you're going to watch a drastic uptick in our recruitment efforts and how many people want to join our military, because they know they won't be thrust into these endless wars, this neoconservative warmongering military industrial complex build out. It's going to be about things that are prioritizing America, Americans, and American interest.
Yeah, or into some type of warped social experiment, using our military to act as some type of faculty lounge for some of the dumbest anti-science and quite frankly anti-progress elements of society. I mean, it's not progressive. It's actually regressive, right? It's like the military. It's regressive for Mark Milley, to sit up there and. When was the last time Mark Milley passed a PT test? I don't know, Congressman. But for him to sit up there and to say, I want to understand white rage. It's white people who are the problem in our military. Bro, you want a military deficit problem? Start with that. That's one of the first things that dude said under questioning from your committee. And that's how you destroy a military, actually.
Well, I'll tell you, Benny, I remind every single American, if you really want to see what America's about, go visit any national cemetery or go to Arlington. Look at the fact that those rows and rows of headstones, they're not laid by your race, by your gender, by your faith. They're laid down there by those who were willing to fight and die beside one another. You know, when we're fighting in the military, I'm not looking at who is actually going to look a certain way or who came from a certain part of the country or what faith you have. I want the best, most qualified warfighter to be sitting there watching my six as I watch theirs. And that's what we got to get back to, because at the end of the day, the military should be all about meritocracy. And that's the only thing that should matter. The best, the most qualified, and the absolutely most prepared warfighter to be able to keep this nation, this constitutional republic, to be free. And I'll tell you, if you're not living your life after you go to one of those national cemeteries in a way that's worthy of those sacrifices, then you're truly failing, in my opinion, because there's no place on earth, in my opinion, that is more of a hallowed ground and more of a humbling experience than the rows upon rows upon rows of heroes who sacrificed for this country. That's what the military is about. That's what our government's about. That's what our country is about, is service, not white rage and some social experimentation on pansexuality and gender fluidity.
Yeah, would you be, a lot of people saying that General Milley deserves a court-martial for what happened January 6th. I think he certainly deserves a full-scale investigation. Your thoughts on that? Because based on Milley's own testimony before the January 6th committee, he defied President Trump's orders to send the National Guard to protect the U.S. Capitol. In that circumstance, I know it because I watched the National Guard deployed in my neighborhood, Congressman. There would have been no January 6th. There would have been no riot. There would have been no problems. People would have marched and gone home. So it seems like Mark Milley defied the orders of the commander-in-chief. That's a big no-no in the military.
Well, we'd have to investigate whether the chairman, because remember, the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff has strategic oversight, not operational oversight. That would have fallen to someone like General McKinney or one of the others, or the CENTCOM commander, McKenzie. And also, you would have to be looking at Nancy Pelosi, who was actually refusing to plus up our Capitol Police capabilities, even though she knew it. And actually, in one of the leaked tapes by her own daughter, where she's saying, I'm responsible for this, I'm the Speaker of the House. Look, We can say whatever we'd like to say. Did Mark Milley handle certain things correctly? Absolutely not. Did he absolutely try and undermine a lot of the president's decisions? In my opinion, he did. But he's also a man who served over 37 plus years, who's got multiple combat deployments. He was a Special Forces Ranger qualified guy. I don't take anything from his service, but the problem is that if you're going to be a military flag officer to lead men, you need to be prioritizing leading men, not playing politics, not trying to think about what your next job is as you go into another board position, which is what all these guys are doing. I think we need a 10-year moratorium to be put in place so that these flag officers can't start prioritizing what their next board position is. They can focus on serving their country and carrying their service out and not thinking about the $500,000, $1 million to sit on one of the defense boards or what political position they can take to try and benefit themselves financially.
Yeah, I think that would clean so much of the waste and fraud and failed audits up. What is the Pentagon on? Seventh failed audit?
Failed audit.
Yeah, okay, all right, yeah. I wonder why. And then billions to Ukraine that we'll never see back. It's what an unbelievable Ponzi scheme. Seems like Pete,
which is a failed strategy since 2014, Benny. I mean, look, in 2014, we should have leveraged when the Biden Obama administration was in place. They could have used the 1994 Budapest Memorandum. That was a nuclear non-proliferation agreement that had been signed by the Federation of Russia, by Ukraine, by UK, Northern Ireland, and by the United States. And it essentially guaranteed the sovereignty and laid out what the border lines would be. The minute that was breached in Donetsk and Lugansk and Mariupol, that could have been levied in the international tribunals. But what happened was that these types of neocon neoliberals still look at our sons and daughters as a money-making benefit to the military-industrial complex. They're more prioritizing the idea that warfare is good when it's not. You know, I would argue that the last time that we've actually benefited financially from any type of warfare was in World War II, when we actually owned all of our natural resources, all of our raw materials. We were an industrialistic society. That was back in the days of Rosie the Riveter, with everyone jumped in. But we didn't just thrust ourselves into warfare. We had war bonds that would go out to be able to raise money for the efforts. And we allowed other nations to fight their wars first before we realized it could be a threat to America or Americans or American interests. And so we need to get back to that type of mindset, not just trying to be the world police, these warmongers, these interventionists, but also not being an isolationist. And so I think that that's really where we're going to take ourselves in this America First agenda.
We're going to see World War III kick off, man, if we keep lobbing American-made missiles into Russia. This is a perilous time.
The only reason that hasn't escalated is because they know in 60 days that there's a new chief in town.
Yeah.
And they know that President Trump is a peace through strength leader. They've seen what he's done, everything from the China Phase 1 deal to get tariffs and trade and commerce under control when China had to buy billions of dollars in agriculture, remain in Mexico to force Mexico to actually stop people from trying to go ahead and violate our sovereignty, looking at listing the Houthi rebels as a terrorist organization, which they've now been delisted and disrupt 12% of global trade. But every one of our adversaries were fearful of America. Whether it was China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, this kind of geopolitical axis of evil, they knew that President Trump is at the helm, that he would take serious consequence and action. They saw it with Qasem Soleimani. They saw that with Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. They saw that with Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis. He eliminated in successful counterterrorism strikes with minimal impact, minimal damages, no American lives at risk, and sent a message very quickly that America will not stand for our men and women in uniform being threatened. And he told them, if you even kill a single armed forces member in Iraq, that I've got 20 plus targets that I've already designated, and the first one's going to be your home. That's the type of strong leadership we need, because weakness invites aggression. And we would not have had October 7th and the 1,200 plus innocent people who were killed in Israel if it would have been President Trump who was in the White House instead of Joe Biden.
Briefly here, Congressman, you know Pete Hegseth. You've clearly worked with him. I'm not sure if you guys have worked from a military standpoint together, or where you both served. But I know that you've worked together from a comms perspective,
right,
and from a nexus perspective of what the military should be. Your best elevator pitch for Pete Hegseth as Department of Defense Secretary. Can you stiffen up the spines of some of these coward Republican senators who are saying, "Oh, Pete Hegseth, I don't know, man. I don't like his tattoos."
Well, it's funny. Everyone who wants to go ahead and knock Pete Hegseth about not being qualified have also never served a single day in military, have never actually deployed and watched their soldiers die, have never actually led men in combat and had to actually run through austere conditions and make sure that the mission is completed. That's what Pete's about, is successfully completing the mission. The mission is to strengthen our military to become a force that every other nation not only tries to emulate and it actually looks at as a way of this is the military of the future, but they look at it and say, I also would not challenge that government or that country because their military is so strong. That was the Reagan peace through strength mechanism. Look, it's one of those old sayings where, I don't want to go to war, but if war and bad things are going to happen, let it happen during my time so that my sons can live in peace in the future. That's the type of military that we need to be building out. Pete understands what DEI has done. Pete understands our recruitment deficits. He understands the failed audits and the fact that we're actually woefully undersupplied if we had to take a large military scale invasion like the takeover of Indo-PACOM or Taiwan or the threat of the 7th Fleet out in Hawaii. He understands that mission. He knows national security. And this is a very, very intelligent guy, Benny. Again, this man graduated from Princeton and Harvard. Say what you want about their woke ideologies, but back when he went to college there, that was like the pinnacle of your top Ivy League schools in which you wanted to be a part of. So I think he's more than qualified. I think what they hate is that he's going to come in there and he's going to eliminate all of these generals with their officer evaluation reports that are prioritizing DEI, that are picking people because of their pronouns, who continue to fail in their recruitment efforts. And he's going to replace it with people who will get the job done. And so I can tell you right now, I'm excited about Pete Hegseth. I'm excited about Tulsi going into the DNI, who also has served from our military proudly. I'm excited about Mike Waltz being the National Security Advisor. I served with him on the Armed Services Committee, the Foreign Affairs Committee. This is a guy who is a multi-Bronze Star, Green Beret, combat veteran who's led men as a officer in the military. I mean, look, when you look at this starting lineup, it's like the 1992 Olympic Dream Team. I mean, this is the people that's going to come in and absolutely clean house. And I can tell you that I'm excited and I'm optimistic for the first time in a very long time about where we're actually headed, because this 118th Congress I was a part of, I will tell you every day it was an absolute meat grinder trying to get things done. But we need also every one of the viewers, Benny, to really blow up Mike Johnson's phone, the speaker, and say, listen, we need HR 1 Low Cost Energy Act, HR 2 Secure the Border Act, HR 5 our Parental Rights Act, HR 21 stopping our strategic petroleum reserves from being able to be utilized by the executive branch. All the things that we passed in the House that the Senate wouldn't take up, I want to see every one of those bills voted on and passed in the Senate day one. I don't think we have time to wait around. We need to start executing what needs to be done, securing our borders, lowering costs of goods, and getting America back on the map as a world leader. And that starts on day one, not in day 100.
Yes. I don't know if a part of any of those HR packages would be the stripping of the security clearances from those who ran PSYOPs and distorted the American elections, rigged American elections by utilizing the credentials that were given to them by the American public and paid for by the American public. I really want to see that happen, Congressman. I want to see the people who signed the Hunter Biden laptop letter to be humiliated.
You need accountability.
Yeah.
You need to build confidence in the federal
Congress
government.
Can do it, Congressman.
And Congress can do it. But just like you talked about pros and cons, pro is progress to move forward and con is Congress to move backwards. Look, we have to acknowledge the fact that with a 17% approval rate of Congress, which I think is very generous, that it's on us. I mean, the onus is truly on Congress to set forth what we are as a republic. We need to understand our Article 1 legislative responsibilities, and we need to execute those for the American people. And if every single member will ask themselves one pertinent question, do you care more about saving your seat for re-election, or do you care more about saving this republic for your children? That's the question that every single person needs to ask themselves, because we need to ban stock trading. We need to start looking at how Congress is actually operating. We need to start thinking about the fact that it's people over party, people over politics. We've got to get back to being representative statesmen, not politicians any longer.
Yeah. So yes on stripping the Hunter Biden laptop signees.
Yes.
I think it was 51, if I'm remembering correctly.
That's correct.
Of their security clearances, because you can do it. We could. I don't know if there's a bill out right now, but it would sure send a message that this shit doesn't fly anymore, and that there's going to be consequences to rigging our elections.
Yep. People have to have true accountability, because I'm tired of the mea culpa, is my fault, my bad, I take responsibility. Responsibility is not accountability. Until people are actually demoted, removed from office, or imprisoned for their actual criminal negligence and charges, then no accountability has truly been held. And I can tell you, The people who still stay on my mind every single day since August 26, 2021 are the 13 Gold Star families when a preventable incident that occurred in Afghanistan still has not had the accountability necessary. I don't know if it's General McKenzie, C.D. Donahue, or whether it actually goes all the way up to the SecDef themselves, but somebody needs to be held accountable for those 13 preventable deaths and the sons and daughters, the husbands and wives, the mothers and fathers who had lost their life on that day when they shouldn't have ever have done that.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Congressman, for not forgetting that. There's so much to rectify, and you are the tip of the spear as ever. You were in your military service and in your service to your fellow Americans and hurricane relief and rescue operations. And
thank you for your help in that as well, Benny, on the hurricane stuff. You guys did an amazing job sending supplies, getting it in there. Look, we did some great things. I mean, our team in 11 days dropped 23,000 pounds of supplies, dozens of search and rescue missions, multiple medevacs out to Johnson City, 2+ dozen of the actual Starlink systems, thanks to Elon Musk, who is literally privatizing our government in a way that needs to be done. I'm excited for government efficiency as well. I'll tell you, I look forward to working with them to be able to cut some of the spending and wastefulness of the actual DC swamp, because I can tell you it's been that way since Woodrow Wilson, the 17th Amendment, and the ratification of 1913 for this government growth. Get it back to the states and individual rights. I'm a 10th Amendment absolutist, and that's where we need to be at. But again, thanks for your help on the rescues and all that you had done in Western North Carolina and in Florida.
Kick ass, man. It's great. This is how we save the country. Corey Mills, 200,000 subs, 200,000 Americans. Can't be wrong. Go follow Great Corey Mills. Make sure that our movement is stacked, baby. Just like Corey Mills himself. See you, homie.
Thanks. See you, brother.